In this big lake, a fish lives that spawns legends. Sometimes it is feared, often reviled, misunderstood, or just ignored. Those anglers that pursue the trout of the high mountain waters scorn the warm water fishermen who prefer tepid water angling. No fish for the elitists, these. No, these fish are champions of the common man who prefers brute force over finesse. Fish that can eat a whole duckling in a gulp and resist the urge to sip a size 20 mayfly. But to those that pursue it, it is held in awe, revered, and yes, even obsessed over. Scientists have labeled this enigma from the muddy warm waters of Utah Lake, Ictalurus punctatus, the channel catfish. Those unwashed of us who love these pugnacious giants simply call them channels. There are reportedly 28 species of catfish in North America, but the channel catfish is the most abundant. It is the official state fish of several states, including Iowa and Kansas, demonstrating once again that the unwashed of us love our channels. Is it because of the mild flesh is so good to eat, or its pugnacious warrior's attributes that we hold it so dear? That, my friends, is an unresolved question that has sparked many bar fights through time. There is no question that the channel, with its often ungodly mutant-looking head, is far superior eating than the trout. A whole industry was born that generates $1 billion plus annually across the globe in catfish fillet sales, and the American South plays a huge stake in this business of aquaculture. Dandies look down their long noses shuddering at the mere mention of channels, but the masses devour them at a rate that is almost alarming. No white wine fish these, rather cold beer and homemade fries for us catfish aficionados. Oh yeah, give me a bib, I'm drooling. Channels, although occasionally feeding by sight, are primarily scent feeders, whose body is nearly one big taste bud, including the barbels or whiskers that give the species their name. They are absolutely non-discriminant with what they will eat. The list of proven bait is long, and the best of them will produce fish at almost every turn, but none are totally foolproof. Catfish baits are like my cousins. I love most of them. Some of them are overrated. Some of them can be counted on when things get tough, and others still should be left at home where they can do no damage. A large part of the natural diet of the channel catfish is aquatic insects and their larvae. Crawfish, snails, small clams, worms, and fish, both live and dead, are taken as part of the diet. The catfish is not a selective feeder and takes advantage of food available, similar to my visiting brother-in-law. Ask a catfisherman his favorite bait, you'll get a myriad of replies. Night crawlers, shrimp, chicken necks, cut bait, hot dogs, ivory soap, salt clams, and my favorite, chicken livers. Some leave their favorite baits in the sun to ripen. Not me. I want my bait fresh, never frozen, and never so stinking that it makes a corn or swoon. If you want your bait to smell like a Calcutta sewage plant, that's your business. I want mine fresh. It results in more fish. Although chicken livers are, in my opinion, the best catfish bait, they are problematic because they are difficult to keep on the hook. We remedy this problem in several ways. We use a product called Magic Thread to literally tie the bait on the hook. Simply impale the liver with the hook and then wrap the elastic thread around the liver, tying it on. Break the elastic thread, the bait is secure. Another way, perhaps better, is to cure the livers with borax. Place the livers in a Ziploc bag, pour in the borax, coating them well. Next, place them on a wire screen to cure and dry, retaining the Ziploc bag to store them in. Preserved this way, they are still effective, but far less likely to come off the hook. They will last in the refrigerator until the Lord gets back. No muss, no fuss. An even better way, albeit more time-consuming, is to secure them with a spawn sack used for salmon eggs. Wrap the liver around the treble hook, and then wrap a cut-to-size piece of sack material and secure with the elastic thread above the hook shank. The scent can bleed out, attracting the channels, but keeping the liver intact. Often I'll prepare liver bait in advance of a fishing trip. Using tube gauze available from your local drugstore, cut a 6 or 8 inch piece of the tube gauze and tie one end off. Turn the tube inside out and stretch it out. Now fill the tube with liver, close off the top by tying it or wrapping it with thread after twisting the top down to balls the tube like a sausage. These can be stored in your refrigerator or freezer for weeks, again in the Ziploc bag. When you need them, simply impale them with a circle hook, and you can cast them till your arm falls off without throwing the liver, providing you made them correctly. Fresh shrimp and chunks of ivory soap can be fashioned as bait in the same way. Better yet, save the ivory soap. Remember my overrated cousin? Use it to wash the bait stink off your hands. Hot dogs are often used for catfish bait with amazing success. Buy the cheapest dogs you can find, turkey or chicken variety, that aren't fit to eat anyway. They're far superior fish bait to the good all beef ones. Tie a 1 to 2 foot leader to a treble hook. Secure the other end of the leader with a loop. You'll need a bait needle or a crochet hook for the next move. Cut the hot dog in half. Stick the notched end of the bait needle through the center of the dog and pull the loop back through the bait until the treble hooks are taut against the bait. Hook the loop in the swivel. On the end of your line, you're good to go. The good thing about using turkey dogs is you won't be tempted to eat the bait. I'd rather eat raw chicken livers or ivory soap than a turkey dog, but channels sometimes prefer them over all other baits. Another great bait is what's called cut bait. Simply, it is any legal type of bait fish cut up, attached to a hook. Utah Lake has abundant white bass populations, and the catfish devour them in great numbers. The beginning of any catfish trip generally begins the little time catching white bass that we cut into 1 inch wide strips for bait. White bass skin is tougher than an alligator's breath, but if you have a hook sharp enough to go through it, you have a bait that'll never come off. If you can only attach it through the meat, that's another story, but either way, it's great bait. Fresh is always better than frozen, but whatever you have will work. A large part of the natural diet of the channel catfish is aquatic insects and their larvae. Crawfish, snails, small clams, worms, and fish, both live and dead, are taken as part of the diet. The catfish is not a selective feeder. It takes advantage of the food available, similar to a visiting brother-in-law. When the water temperature reaches 70 degrees in late spring, channel catfish begin to spawn. The spawning ritual involves a male selecting the spawning cavity, then attracting and inducing the female to spawn. The female is then chased from the cavity, and the male tenaciously guards the developing eggs. The eggs hatch in 5 to 10 days, depending on water temperature. Do the males feed while guarding the clutch? Well, they probably don't leave the nest when guarding eggs, but during the spawning season, plenty of other fish are on the bite, including spawned out females and males fresh out of the spawning cat. The channel catfish is selective in its breeding habits. It prefers obscure places to deposit the eggs, overhanging rock ledges, deeply undercut banks, hollow logs, and even large tin cans, tile, and other similar objects serve as spawning spots. Males and females exhibit active and prolonged courtship behavior before mating. During the actual spawning act, the male swims beside the female, but facing the opposite direction. Each fish then wraps his tail around the other's head. The male body quivers, which stimulates a release of eggs and milt. Eggs are deposited in the golden-colored, gelatinaceous mass. The length of the incubation depends upon water temperatures, but it is usually completed in 6 to 10 days. The number of eggs deposited by a female may be 20,000 or more. Catfish weighing 1 to 4 pounds produce about 4,000 eggs per pound of body weight. Spawning activity takes place from May through July when the water temperature reaches 75 degrees. Female catfish reach sexual maturity at 13 to 16 inches and the male somewhat earlier. Average body length at each year of life for channel catfish in studied waters is 1 year equals 3.5 inches. By 5 years, the channel cat is around 14 inches. By 9 years, they are nearly 21 inches long. A trophy channel over 30 inches has survived beyond 10 years. The IGFA World Record channel catfish weighed 58 pounds. The Utah State Record channel weighed 32 pounds 8 ounces and was 38 inches long. Body colors vary from silvery gray on the top side to light on the underside, often colored in a golden hue, to black and very dark, depending mostly on the clarity of the water. The body is profusely marked with dark pigmented spots, which are usually unclear in the large adults. The eyes are large, but the head is small, except in very large channels, where the head appears large in proportion to the body. The dorsal fin behind the head and twin pectoral spines of many species of catfish contain venom glands. When the spine punctures the skin and underlying tissue, a spine's membrane outer layer ruptures, releasing venom into the wound. I have handled thousands of catfish and have never been jabbed, but I am also very careful because I have heard others whine about the pain the catfish can incur. Better to be safe than sorry. Channel catfish are relatively easy to catch most of the time. You can fish from shore, out of a boat, kayak, or canoe. The only requisite is to be on or near waters that contain them. Rods and reels range from simple cane poles and line to spinning or bait casting rods and reels. Whatever you have is probably enough. When we fish waters that contain heavyweight channels, we generally use 7 to 8 foot medium spinning rods with fast tips. The fast tip detects the lightest take, and the medium to medium heavy rod has plenty of backbone to turn and control all but the biggest of fish. We use braided line. 20 to 30 pound braid cast well, has no stretch, resists abrasion. Its smaller diameter allows for more line on the reel spool than mono. Although channels are not wary of line, we generally will use fluorocarbon leaders that will break slightly less than the main line. A snag will result in the loss of the leader and hook, but not break the main line. Generally, a circle hook is superior to a J hook, but a plain bait hook will work in the absence of circle hooks. A treble hook can be used for some baits and applications, but when we are releasing the fish, we never use them due to the potential damage to the fish's soft tissue in the mouth and gullet. If you are going to keep the catfish that you catch and eat them, a little advanced preparation goes a long way. We immediately dispatch the fish and bleed them. The fish is then placed on ice to keep the flesh chilled. After filleting, wash the meat with cold fresh water, dry, and place in a Ziploc bag and store in your refrigerator until you're ready to cook them. Cut the fillets into the size you want them. Dip them in your favorite coating, either dry or wet, letting the excess coating drip away. The fish are now ready to fry or deep fry, as you prefer. Coconut oil is the healthiest option for deep frying your fish. It also has a neutral flavor that will reduce flavor transfer between batches of frying. Heat the oil to 375 degrees using an oil thermometer and add the fillets to the hot oil. Too much fish at once will drop the oil's temperature and affect the batter by saturating it with oil. After the batter turns a golden brown, remove the fillets from the oil and drain over a screen or on paper towels. Season with lemon juice and salt and pepper, and the delicious fillets are ready to eat. As millions of people around the globe can attest, it doesn't get much better than this. I hope this video has shed some light on these wonderful catfish, and it gives you some additional information to use on your journey to be a better fisherman. Until we meet again, good luck, good fishing, and remember, take your kid fishing.